What's up, everybody at home? It's Glenn back with Big Jack, back with another video, the best bets of the NFL weekend video. We are on to week 7. Tough week 6 for us here at the Fade. Both of us going 1-2. Jack moves to 8-10 on the season. Myself going to 6-12 on the season. Some pretty terrible records, but they don't call us the Fade for nothing. Big Jack, you looking for a bounce back week? How you feeling?
Got to 8-10, terrible. It's crazy. It's already week 7. It's amazing how this season always flies by, man. It really is. But I'm at where I'm at. I don't feel horrible about the way last week went. Gave Jets a shout. Should have just picked that game. Obviously, could have swung it and put me right at that 500 number. I don't know. It's tough. It's not easy, but 33% of the way in now. We got 18 weeks with this new 17 game season. Just gotta hopefully keep seeing the board better and better. Last week I thought I loved the way that a lot of things looked to me. Didn't work out so well this week. It's a little tight. It's a little tough. But it's not supposed to be easy. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, quick shout out to my picks too. I feel like the Chargers let me down. There was a period of time on Sunday where I was thinking parlay actually had a little bit of life outside of your Cleveland Browns pick. That kind of didn't look like it ever really had too much of a shot there, at least in the second half. But even the over in that game kind of looked like it had some life, but ultimately end up 1-2 apiece. Enough about last week. Let's move on to this week. We'll change things up. I mentioned it last week. You picked first the 2 weeks prior. I'm going to pick first this week. First game I'm going to go to is to a team I've picked against a couple times, and I feel like it's cost me every time, sometimes in some blowouts. I'm going to back the Indianapolis Colts this week, going to LA, getting a 1.5, excuse me. I think Indy's just a really good, solid team. I like them to go to LA, beat the Chargers outright. Chargers still trying to figure out if they'll get Joel back on their offensive line. But I think Indy's just a team that's rolling right now. Chargers are a team that they did win last week, but didn't look that awesome in the process. I like the Colts to go there, get a W, and obviously cover that 1.5 point spread.
Solid pick, going right back against your Chargers, who sort of lit you down last week, and now you're going to be on the other side of it, hoping to run it back, I suppose, in a way. But yeah, they're just a little banged up, and I think that the Colts are proving week after week that they sort of are for real. Like you said, ugly game, but the win is a win. And they've been finding ways to get it done, and their point differential, outside of last week, and I think they had a tight win against Denver, if I'm recalling correctly. But like they've been sort of smacking a couple teams. I'd like them to go on the road against a banged up Chargers team, still trying to figure some things out. I got nothing against that pick. My first pick, I am going to go back to it. Should have did it last week. I'm going to go to the London game. I believe it's the last international game of the year. I could be wrong on that, but I think it is. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars +3. I feel like I kind of do this consistently year after year. Jacksonville is just a team that always goes over there organizationally. I know Liam Cohen's a new head coach, but they know what they're doing as an organization. They know how to handle that trip. They know all the ins and outs of it. I think the guys will get there. They'll be feeling good. They'll be prepared. They've done it before for a large part of them. I think they go in there and take care of business. The Rams, solid team. I think they got as much of a chance as anybody in the NFC, but they've been a little, Jekyll and Hyde at times this season. Puka Nacua would play probably, as far as I can tell, based on the reports. But if he is out, I like that kind of skewing in my favor. I don't know. I think the Jaguars had a letdown after that big win against Kansas City on Monday night. Huge kind of late comeback, a lot of theatrics, all the whole deal, a little too high, maybe riding high. But I think they'll be ready to go in London, where I believe they'll be comfortable. I think they'll find a way to potentially win outright. But I'll take the 3.
Yeah, bounce back spot potentially for the Jags here. And you would think that travel from Jacksonville is going to be a little bit easier than the travel from LA for the Rams. I like your thinking. I like the pick. I am not on that game myself, though. Also, quick shout out to you. Undefeated on international games so far. And the one game you didn't pick last week, you did pick the right side in your little side side shout out. So Jack knows those international games. That's if we're learning anything that season, that's what we're learning. So all right, to my second pick of the weekend, I'm gonna go to a team that the Bears just beat, and I'm gonna back the Washington Commanders going to Dallas -1.5. I think it's just a defense that the Commanders will be able to score against. I think Jane Daniels looks lights out this weekend. I think they comfortably cover that 1.5 point spread in Dallas in their own stadium here in the Cowboys Stadium. I like the Commanders to win comfortably. That's my second pick of the week.
Love the confidence. I mean, I think they, could certainly go in there and run the ball against them. Look at what Carolina just did to Dallas last week and the way they gashed them. Yeah, I think I could certainly see that going Washington's way. I'm not on the game, but if I was, I don't think I would have the balls to be back in Dallas many weeks with kind of the way that defense has looked over the course of the season to this point. But that kind of leads into my next pick. You mentioned Carolina briefly there. I'm going to take the Jets at home this weekend. They're a 1.5 point favorite, and they haven't won a game this year. They're 0-6. People are calling for Justin Fields to be benched. Surprise, surprise. But I'm going to take them. I think they get it done at home. I think they come back. The one thing I don't love is the travel spot coming back from the game in London. I don't know how that's going to affect them. And I don't think Aaron Glenn is really proven to know what the hell he's doing as far as like in-game adjustments, decision-making, all that sort of thing that comes with being a head coach. But I think they go in there. I think they compete. I think they're tired of getting dragged. I think they show up on Sunday. I think they win the game outright. I misspoke. They're not 1.5 point favorites. Excuse me. They're 1.5 point dogs. I like them on the money line, but I'm going to take the points for the purposes of our picks here. I'll take the 1.5.
Horrible last name for their coach, if we're being honest.
And, another thing is, too, like, I didn't even touch on it, but the Panthers I kind of joked about Jekyll and Hyde with what you're getting out of the Rams. Like, the Panthers are bad on the road, man. Like, horrible, horrible on the road for one reason or another. So I'm hoping that, trend sort of comes to fruition this weekend.
To be honest, this is one of those games that reminds me of Saints-Giants a few weeks ago when you look at the line. And you look at it and you wonder...
Okay.
You look at the line and you wonder why. I think the Jets, at least, did they open as favorites, maybe as 1.5 point favorites? Because I thought so too when you said that. But you look at it and you're like, how are they favorites? They haven't won a game all year. Carolina's not bad. Somebody knows something. And in that other game, the Saints ended up winning comfortably against the Giants that week. So I think that's the smart side to be on, Jack, is the Jets. Does worry me about that travel. We saw what it did to Cleveland last week, coming home from that London game or the European game anyway. That is the only thing that would worry me is the travel in that spot. And then also you got to bank on Justin Fields potentially. But hey, I like the pick. My third and final pick of the week, Denver, 7.5 point favorites against the Giants. Is that too many points? I don't know. I think a lot of people will think so. I'm going to back the Broncos. I think this is a game where Jackson Dart is as solid as he's been, and Cam Scatterbo as solid as he's been, especially last week. I think this is a game where they could end up looking like a couple of rookies out there at Mile High Stadium against the Broncos. I like the Broncos to win. I like the Giants not to score very many points. So I'm going to take Denver -7.5.
I like it. I actually have Denver at 7, -110 too. So
I will take Denver -7.
Lock it in, baby. I love that pick, honestly. It was something that I was pretty close to being on myself. There's a lot of really positive trends to that side in the way that Denver has performed in the Bo Nix era. Short-lived, not even a year and a half at this point, a year and a couple weeks, but they have been dominant against the number at home with Bo Nix. I think it's a big number. People ride in the high of, the Giants' performance against the Eagles. I think they definitely come back down to earth. Tough place to play. The only thing that pulled me away from being on the same side as you here was the trip back from London. And it's probably a silly thing to overthink, but it is like the one minimal consideration I took that led me astray. But I love
for
that
sure.
Pick.
Quick side note. Shout out Bo Nix's brother. He is a defensive back at Jacksonville State. I was watching the football game yesterday, and he had fumble recovery for a touchdown. So you're not expecting to watch white boy cornerback return for a touchdown and his Bo Nix's brother on a Wednesday night college football game. But that did happen. That's real life.
At Jacksonville State, no less. Wow.
No less.
What are the chances? Big win for them. They think they were like 2.5-point dogs. They won by 100. All right. Last pick of the week for me. Ugly one. Doing my usual, maybe I should get away from this sort of nonsense because I'm 8-10 for crying out loud, but I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns. I'm taking a -2.5 at home against the Miami Dolphins. They're two teams in identical spots record-wise, but I think they're in pretty different spots organizationally right now. Tua comes in his press conference, kind of calls out the team gives all these excuses when he himself, just threw 3 interceptions in the game that they lost. I think that Mike McDaniel, I'm not sure how much swing he has in that locker room at this point in time. I think that's a team that's just kind of over the hill and they are falling fast down the cliff. I feel like that's going to be blown up real soon, definitely at the end of this season, if not some fireworks before then. I think the Browns, as bad as they are, I think their defense is still very respectable. I do value Kevin Stefanski as one of the better coaches in this league. I think he has the locker room together. I think they're kind of rallying behind a rookie quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, working through some things. I don't think they're good by any stretch of the imagination. 2.5 points, being a favorite in general sort of scares me, but I think it's the side this week. I like Cleveland to win that game by at least a field goal. I could honestly see it being uglier than that. I know Dolphins, even though they've been losing, they've been competitive. I could see this one coming off the rails and potentially being the nail in the coffin for Mike McDaniel.
I didn't look at the injury report on this game because I picked either against or on Miami like 3 different times this year, and I've been wrong every time. So I'm just kind of steering clear of that team right now. But if Judkins is good to play, I'm thinking he's 100% healthy. If he's good to play, I could see him having a big day against Miami. I think this could be a game where it's just some bully ball, a tough football team in Cleveland, even though they're maybe not the most talented at the skill position. Just a tough nose football team against a team that wants to play flag football in Miami. And I could just see Cleveland just dominating. And I hope that's the case because I'll be back in Cleveland as well because you're on Cleveland, so I'm on Cleveland. That's how it works.
Yeah, it could be a pretty serious weather game too. I think
Okay.
they're calling for like some gusts up to like 50, 60 mile per hour on Cleveland on Sunday. So
Wow.
I kind of like that in my favorite too.
Yeah, that could help them too. Okay, quick recap. One question before the recap. You have the Jets as 1.5-point dogs. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, correct. It's
Okay.
1.5 point dogs. I think it's actually, I literally just closed out of the app, of course.
You're okay.
Searching, efforting. Plus 1.5 minus 108. So a little less juice on the tax there, only 8 cents versus 10.
All right, just to recap for everybody at home, Jack is on Jacksonville +3 versus the Rams, the Jets +1.5 versus Carolina, and Cleveland -2.5 versus Miami. I am on Indy +1.5 at LA, Washington -1.5 at Dallas, and Denver -7 versus the New York Giants. Like and subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for watching. Jack, any last words for subscribers out there? Bears.